Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest football news as we discuss Isak's exit from Newcastle, also a big transfer window change that's literally just broken, and a little bit more around the striker transfer market and how it's going to impact the Premier League this season, specifically with the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. So let's get into all that. Breaking news first of all, we'll come back to this in a couple of minutes. The transfer window for the Premier League is going to open on June the 1st instead of the 16th. It will run from the 1st to the 10th of June, then it will close for 6 days and reopen from June the 16th to September the 1st. This is because of the Club World Cup, so they are opening it up early so people can buy people for the Club World Cup. I mean, it's preposterous, it's stupid, it's incredible. The season actually finishes and then we're opening up the transfer window for 10 days so people can move to other clubs to play again in a tournament in the middle of June. I mean, these players just aren't getting any break, are they? But we'll talk about that in a minute. I want to talk about Isak. So lots been said about him. I don't think I've spoken about this for a while either. So I want to get your sort of grasp on this. I think he is leaving. I think Isak is leaving Newcastle. The question is when and where. Interestingly, with the bookmakers, they are saying that his most likely club at the start of next season is still Newcastle. Arsenal are 10-1 to get Isak. So that just shows you that the feeling at the moment is that Liverpool are second favourites behind him staying at Newcastle. The feeling is that he probably will stay at Newcastle, but the last 48 hours have been quite interesting because there's been talk of him not wanting to do a contract renewal. He has a contract till 2028, and I suppose if he signs a new contract, you're sort of locking yourself in to Newcastle for a longer period of time for a little bit more money. And look, I think with Isak as well, so much depends, like it does for Spurs, Man United, Chelsea, on where they are at the end of May. Because if you're in the Champions League, you're in a much stronger position. And if you're not, then you're not. He is Premier League proven. He's 25. And a lot depends on what he wants to do, but Newcastle have got a contract for 3 years. If he went and played up front for Arsenal, they may well win the league. If he goes and plays for Liverpool, they may well win the league. So he's ready-made for either of those clubs to go in, start, and be part of those systems, playing in the Champions League and scoring loads of goals. That might be quite attractive to him. However, Newcastle have got the contract and they can say we want 100 million or more. And whilst Arsenal have done that in the past with Declan Rice, Liverpool, I don't think, have ever done that. And I mean, look, Newcastle have been linked with Kwanzaa, haven't they? Maybe there's something that can happen there. I personally just think it's about where these football clubs want to be. If you're Arsenal, they've been linked with Ekitike today. I'm sorry, Jonathan David, Ekitike are not Isak and Osman. And Arsenal are trying to win a Champions League and trying to win a Premier League. I think if Arsenal want to do that, they should go and get the best they can, which is what they did with Declan Rice. With Liverpool, look, Arne Slot's not made any transfers yet. That would be a huge statement to bring a player in like that. We don't know what the situation is going to be yet with Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk. But if they were to go with Trent, then Liverpool are going to need status. And Isak would certainly bring that in. So, look, I think the striker market this summer is going to be really interesting. As I said, Arsenal and Chelsea need to do something. It looks like Liverpool are going to do something. And what that something is going to dictate what will happen next season. I think Newcastle have got every right to sit there and say, we don't want to sell, which they don't. He's got a 3-year contract, which he does. And if anyone's going to come in and start and unsettle him, we will only sell for over £100 million. Now, look, we've seen it in the past. Maybe someone like Isak starts going, I want to leave. Maybe he publicly puts it out there. Maybe he doesn't. But I think that Newcastle will be in a very, very strong position whatever happens. And ideally, they're going to want to keep him. They've just won a trophy. He was speaking very, very proudly and happily about that on Swedish on this international break, talking about the parade, which I think is this weekend. Newcastle have got a very, very good opportunity of putting themselves in the top 5. The Carabao Cup obviously doesn't put them into the Champions League. And if they get the Champions League, I personally think he will stay. If they don't get Champions League football, then I still think there's a possibility that he stays for another year, probably plays in the Europa League with Newcastle, tries to get Champions League football again. And then with 2 years left on his contract, that's probably when Newcastle sort of look at it and go, are you signing a new contract or are we cashing in? With 3 years left, I think Newcastle will be more than content and hopeful of him staying, and Newcastle fans have got every right. I think he will leave at some point. I think he will leave, but that's because he's 25. He's one of the best strikers in Europe. He's Premier League proven. And I don't know that Newcastle's project is moving quick enough for someone like Isak. I don't know whether it's moving quick enough for someone like Bruno Guimaraes. I don't know with this Newcastle project how quickly they can move it. When Newcastle came in a few years ago with the Saudi ownership, I predicted that they'd be challenging for the title within 5 years and a consistent Champions League side. Obviously, that's not happening because the FFP, PSR in the Premier League now has teeth. As we've seen with points deductions for Everton and Forest. So Newcastle haven't been able to do what Man City are accused of doing, which is getting that money into the club through ways that isn't allowed. So the Newcastle project may not match the ambitions of players that are too good for that project. And Isak obviously is one of those players. But Newcastle is still in that position, as I said, where they can charge top dollar, and football is changing. And if you are Arsenal or you are Liverpool, then there would probably be some quite justifiable nerves around spending 120 million pounds on one player, who I think is very, very successful, but it is a significant amount of money. I think in Arsenal's case, they should spend as much as they can on the most important thing, which is a goal scorer, which they haven't had under this Arteta movement. So if I was Arsenal, I would be throwing the lot at a player like that. But they may feel that they want to go for somebody else. And similarly for Liverpool. So I haven't really come to a conclusion here, and I'm probably more interested in the comments. And I know we'll get a lot of Newcastle fans saying he's not going anywhere. And I probably would lean towards that now in late March. But I think come the end of May, if Newcastle don't make Champions League, then if a serious offer comes in, Isak fancies it, and Newcastle have other things lined up, it could happen. As I said, I think Ekitike for Newcastle would be perfect for half the price they sell Isak for, which makes them money, and a striker that I think would come in and score goals in their system. That might be something that Newcastle look at from a financial point of view and a business sense point of view if all parties were on board with it. If they get Champions League football, I just don't see any reason why Isak would want to go this season and maybe look at it next season with 2 years left on his contract. And I think, honestly, it will come down to what Newcastle do with the Champions League. If they get it, I think he stays. If they don't get it, I think there is a chance he could go. But realistically, I still think next summer might be the time that Isak leaves Newcastle. But striker-wise, Chelsea have got to get one. Liverpool look like they need one. Arsenal have to get one. And if Isak's not available, then you've got to go and get the best out there. And as I've said before about Arsenal, I don't think Jonathan David or Ekitike are the right players they need. I think next season is the season Arsenal need to win the league, and therefore you need a striker that's going to come in and score you goals straight away. Now that's never guaranteed, but I'd be looking at Isak, Gyökeres, Osimhen. I wouldn't be looking at Ekitike, Sesko and David, but that's just my opinion. On this transfer window thing, what are your thoughts? So normally the transfer window would open up on like 10th of June, middle of June, and run through till September. There was talk of the transfer window closing before the start of the Premier League season. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So they are running the transfer window from the 16th of June to the September the 1st, but they're also opening it for 10 days from June the 1st to June the 10th. Now, we'll probably discuss this on the United stand, but United aren't going to have any money till July the 1st because of the financial year. Like, a lot of clubs wait till July because that's the footballing financial year where you can, reset your FFP. So it will work for some people, but it won't work for others anyway. But opening the transfer window for 10 days to help people in the Club World Cup, I just find it weird again. I mean, I did the video on the Club World Cup yesterday. For me, it's merits. I like the tournament. There's a lot of money there. But the merit of it is lost. If you're Chelsea and Man City and Real Madrid, I get why you like it. But come on, whoever holds that tournament, whoever holds up that Club World Champions up, I'm going to be there with a lot of other people going, you're not champions of the world, though, are you? The Champions League winner wasn't even here, and the Premier League winner wasn't even here. So how can you be champions of the world when not everyone was there? It's like winning the race where the fastest guy in the world didn't turn up. So I think that's the problem with the tournament. Opening the transfer window for 10 days, I sort of get it, but to what end is this? I've even heard stuff about Ronaldo might move on a loan or something so that he can play for somebody in the Club World Cup. So it just feels a little bit staged and a little bit manipulated to try and get a tournament that I think lacks more credibility. And it just seems strange to me that we're opening up a transfer window when the Champions League won't have even been played, you know? But they're trying to shoehorn a tournament in, and I don't think they've thought it through. I think there can be a Club World Cup every 4 years, but if you're going to do it, it's got to be more based on who the best teams in the world are at that time and not 4 years ago. Get your comments in below. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. I'll speak to you on the next one.